Hey friends. Well, I um I had a really interesting call with um my wonderful wife yesterday, and we talked about some stuff that in a lot of ways, I didn't actually know it at the time. I wasn't aware of it, or at least as we were starting the conversation, I wasn't aware of it. But it was totally a tie-in to what I've been talking about on this post for the last couple of days, in the sense of feeling like there was some form of pain or emotional cloudiness that not only did that sort of like dampen my immediate experience, but it also revealed to me a tendency and a willingness to sort of lean into or be seduced by compulsion. In other words, it's not just that I felt emotionally kind of unsettled and it felt a little bit of pain or whatever, but it's that when that happened, I became inclined to avoid feeling it. And there's a whole slew of behaviors and thought habits that come with that, and I feel like I'm not going to go too much into them today because I've kind of been describing them for the last several days. But what came out of yesterday's conversation was really interesting, because I was explaining this to Katie, whom I hadn't really, other than, I don't know if she's seen the posts, but I hadn't really talked about it with her. And as I described it, I was then kind of like talking about, well, yeah, I wonder if it's a certain kind of pain or a certain kind of emotion that I just that pushes me off balance. And she, in her incredible wisdom, said, or is it your attachment to that pain? And I was like, whoa, there's a zinger that obviously has some validity to it, because it was like an immediate resonance. Because what then very quickly showed up was, as long as I have this pain, I also have permission to stay small. Like, my full power as a human being is literally unlimited. It's absolutely vast, as is every human being's power if we can really tap into it. And I would say that's a large portion of what I'm doing in this work is attempting to clear away clutter and clear away attachment and move into that power, step into that place where and I've had the experience. I think a lot of us have had that experience of, like, we just have had moments of feeling infinitely powerful. And and a lot of times that's what the spiritual path gives us a taste of, because we start to see, oh, all this illusory identification with our personalities, with our thoughts, with our bodies, with our karma, with our past lives. I mean, this stuff can get really subtle, but all this attachment is limitation. It's literally like those are the ropes, the little ropes. All those little attachments are the ropes that tie us down, and that prevent us from being truly our naturally infinitely powerful selves. And so when Katie said that, it really kind of sounded that gong of recognition in me, where I thought, oh wow, yeah, that this is really kind of getting to the heart of what's happening here, because I could also instantly feel it. I could also instantly feel I went from, in my perception, feeling like, oh, there's this pain that I, whatever kind of amorphously was feeling and not really defining. And but my experience shifted from that into a sense of, oh, yeah, I'm holding on to this pain because it gives me permission to do this and this and this. And they get all these little kind of like ways of staying small are justified by the fact that there's this pain. And, so obviously, on the deepest level, that's not what I want. But it takes me kind of back to, what I was talking about over the course of the last couple of days, and, seeing these two sides of myself in a kind of tug of war for my attention, for my center of gravity, the center of gravity of my awareness, of my psyche. And just realizing, oh yeah, I am choosing this. I'm choosing to hold on to this pain. It's not that the pain is such a threat. This is pain probably, when I feel into it, it feels really old. It feels like childhood level stuff, which so often it is when we're talking about, these patterns of fear or pain or whatever that really have their hooks into us. A lot of times those are old patterns, which is also to say, now as a full-grown adult with a bazillion tools at my disposal to deal with this, with my own family and child, my own life that I have full ownership of, that pain is not a threat. It's not a real threat. I've outgrown it. I've outgrown that. Whatever experiences caused that pain in me, I probably outgrew them years and years ago. But that doesn't mean that somewhere inside of me I'm not programmed to just avoid them like the plague, because at the time when it happened, it felt like an existential threat. It felt like it was, the world was going to come unglued. I was going to die, or whatever whatever that young psyche feels like is the worst possible thing that could happen. That's what it felt like was happening or was going to happen. And so what's really helpful about recognizing that it's my attachment to the pain, it's not the pain itself, is that it puts a kind of discrimination into my perception of the pain. And now when I feel the pain, I immediately associate it with all the ways that I'm staying small. And that's not fun. It's not like that's an enjoyable thing to observe. But it's a very helpful thing to observe. It's very revelatory to see that happening, and to just know internally, oh yeah, because now it also explains why, when I go into an arena where I actually am claiming my power, or I want to claim my power, and I feel a barrier, I feel like, oh, maybe I can't, maybe I won't be able to, maybe whatever, maybe randomly Zeus will smite me with a thunderbolt because I'm not worthy, or whatever, all these, this way that we kind of don't believe in, don't believe we actually have access to our full power. All I have to do is look at, well, what am I holding on to? What pain am I holding on to? What pain is there within me that I am actively kind of clinging to because it protects me from the vastness, from the enormous cosmic, overwhelm, or not overwhelm, but the kind of cosmic scope of possibility. So that was really helpful. It was a really helpful conversation. And, kind of puts me in a place where stepping into my own power becomes even more possible, and there's a thing that happens when I think about that. That's like, well, what if I don't? What if I don't step into my full power? And it's like, well, what's the attachment? What's the attachment? What's the thing that would be, what's the horrible thing that'll happen if you don't claim your full power? Because it's probably not apprehension about what it will genuinely mean from a spiritual point of view for my evolution. That's probably not what I'm feeling. I'm probably feeling some form of limited attachment to what I think my power will give me, right? What I think the outcome of having that power will be. And I feel like that would be a shame to lose. So then all of a sudden claiming my own power contains this inherent risk of what if it goes wrong. But see how convoluted that is? That's so many thoughts. That's trying to like mentally predict the outcome of a simple existential and just deeply kind of heart-based choice to feel the pain and the fear or whatever it is and do it and go forward. Carry that, accept it. That pain is not a threat to me. I will survive. I'm okay. But it's just letting myself truly believe that and feel that and not be tricked by that inner child, fearful experience that I don't even really have access to it. And this is also, it's so interesting because in the Sadhguru book last couple of days, one of the things that stood out to me is he talks about like there's a whole kind of movement now of like sifting through past lives, past karma, trying to get in touch with what our karma is so we can understand it. And he basically says that's an endless task that will never be over. And I can see from this point of view of if I'm attached to fear or pain, there's literally only one thing to do. Feel them, accept them, and keep moving forward. Keep remaining conscious. I don't need to understand why my inner child felt the way that he did in this life or a past life. None of that really matters. It may pop into my awareness after the fact and be like, oh, that's interesting. Wow. Oh, cool. That would make a good movie or whatever, But it's not, but that form of investigation isn't going to give me the power to move on. It's not going to give me the revelation. It's not going to give me the empowerment. It's going to actually take my focus onto the limitation rather than putting my focus on the infinite, on the power itself. So, yeah, that's what's been showing up today. Kind of a big one. I appreciate you. Sending you much love. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you tomorrow.